Hola, amiga. Welcome to the Latina Leadership Podcast, a podcast by Latinas for all women. Get ready because today's conversation is really special. Hola, amigas. Welcome to a new episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I'm your co-host, Andrea Diaz. I'm here with a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Isabella Arguello, Bacy, and I am a therapist. So happy to be here and join our Comunidad Latina.
Yeah. So let's get started. So I was reading a little background about you. So I noticed your upbringing here in Houston in Acre Homes. So how has your upbringing in Acre Homes and your Mexican heritage shaped your approach to therapy and advocacy?
Oh my goodness, it's everything. I think growing up, very early on, I recognized that representation was missing at least in my experience. And I thought that, I wanted to see representation. I wanted to see myself in the places that I went, and it shaped everything because I didn't see people that looked like me. I said, you know what? I have to be the person. And so it started shaping everything that I started to be involved with from a very young age. Because I wanted people to feel welcome. I wanted people to feel like we're here, we belong, we have lots to offer, and we're a beautiful community. So
Yeah, so in your work, what are some of the most common mental health challenges you see among Latinas or women of color, and how do you help clients navigate those?
absolutely, that's a really good question. I think one of the major things is first generation Latinas, just the pressure that we carry on our shoulders, from all of our upbringing, the responsibility of carrying different cultures, of the expectations of our family, just our cultural background. So that's one of the things. Another thing is just, probably really being hardworking and wanting to do things in excellence and all the pressure that comes with that, like the heaviness, to wanting to do things in excellence all of the time and not knowing how to rest, and that it's okay to rest. It's okay to breathe, that we're worthy of rest, of breathing, of taking care of ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we don't love our community, that we don't love, our people, but we're worthy, right?
Yeah. Especially, mental health is so stigmatized in our community, and sometimes it's really hard to bring it up even to our family members or to our friends. So how would you, what a client who's struggling with that to getting acceptance from their family members or from their friends, what advice would you give them, or what would you do in that situation?
Absolutely. I think having a healthy conversation is really good. A great place to start is just sharing that, mental health is something that everybody should have access to, that it's important, that everybody deserves a place to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, and the things that we feel are valuable and important. And so it's important to cultivate those places, but it's important to go to places where those things are celebrated, where we're understood as a community. And so back earlier, we were talking about representation being important. That's a reason why I wanted to come into this field, because I wanted to create that safe place for other Latinas, Latinos, people of color to feel seen, to feel understood, and, just to feel comfortable. So how I would talk to, family members is letting them know, look, there's people that understand some of the barriers and challenges and things that we go through. And there's spaces that are created where our cultures are embraced, are supported, are reflected. And there's clinicians that have those backgrounds. And so, trying to start that conversation.
I love that. And as we're talking about representation, why do you feel like representation is so important, especially in the mental health field?
Absolutely. A little bit kind of how I was talking earlier. When you see yourself, it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel encouraged. It makes you feel welcome. It makes you feel seen and understood. And so I think in being represented in the mental health community, is everything, right? Because it's one of those things that I believe it's a dignity thing. Like everybody deserves the right to have dignity, to a place to be heard, a place to be understood, to not be judged. And if we don't feel safe, if we don't feel seen and valued for like who we are and what we represent or understood, then how can we feel safe to be vulnerable,
Hmm.
to share what we feel, right?
Yeah. No, I feel that too. And like, especially, sometimes like I feel like back in the past there's much more lack of representation compared to now. How do you feel like comparing the past to right now, we're seeing more Hispanic like therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. Do you feel like it's been like a really important move, or you think there's been a shift in it being more accepting in our community?
Yeah, I think that there's been a great stride toward more representation. I think that there's still lots of ground to cover, you know. So I feel so blessed to be able to be in this space, to continue to create space for others, other people of color, other Latinas, you know, to know that there's space for them too, that they're needed. And so I think it's a little bit of both. You know, I think there's lots of growth for more opportunity, more representation, but I think that we are taking significant strides in the mental health field to let people know we're here. We come from similar backgrounds, similar experiences and communities, and you're understood. You know, we want to allow you to share what's important to you.
I want to go more into your background. I saw that you graduated from University of Houston and Masters in Social Work, which, ooh, go Cougs, go Cougs. Uh, yeah. Do you mind going over like, your college career and like how you kind of either did you know at the beginning like, hey, I want to go into this field, or was it kind of like I'm figuring it out and then like do your bachelor's, you're like, okay, I want to do this.
I love this question. Yeah, no, because growing up, I didn't know what my professional field was going to be. I actually didn't even know if I was going to be, you know, going off to college because there were so many barriers. Like you said, I was raised in Acres Home, so it's one of Houston's hoods, you know, and so it was
Yeah.
like really difficult, you know, it was challenging. Didn't have like the best opportunities and things like that. But I knew that I wanted to love on my community. I wanted to help people that came from barrios and hoods, and
Yes.
you know that we're here, we're valuable, we have great things to offer, and you know, and so anyway, so going off to school, I was undecided for my bachelor's, and I felt so much pressure because everybody knew from starting, you know, before even enrolling, they already knew what they were going to do. They had this long track record, and I already felt so behind. You know, I think I didn't declare till like toward the end of my sophomore year,
Mhm.
and so that's why I'm such an advocate for having mentors, experienced mentors that can walk alongside of you to normalize things, you know, to help bring support while you're making huge decisions. I didn't have a community, you know, I didn't have support because I'm first generation. And so, yeah, I was navigating through those things. There was lots of stress. There was, you know, tons of worry, anxiety. Am I going to graduate? You know, am I going to be able to finish? Is this something that I can do? And so I did my bachelor's in sociology at Sam Houston State. Um, I took a break, and then I went on and got my master's from the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work, and that was social work. And for undergrad, it was sociology. So for me, I always knew I wanted to support community, you know, and have a better understanding of community dynamics and just how to be an advocate, you know, a strong advocate for our needs.
Yeah, I love that you talked about mentorship because I also really think it's really important, especially as Latinas, to find somebody who's either gone through similar experience or was able to give us advice in our career path. Was there a certain mentor that kind of motivate you, or like have you done mentorship yourself or somebody else?
Yeah. So, honestly, for me, it was just, I think what was the internal driving force was wanting to break cycles and wanting to create better opportunities and to be able to in order to be able to create opportunities for others that came from similar backgrounds like me, I knew that I needed to invest in myself. So that was the motivator for me. Unfortunately, I didn't have any mentorship through my undergrad or even my master's program, but that was okay because that brought the passion for like we need more people, we need more professionals in diverse fields and sectors to, come alongside a first generation student and bring that support, that experience, help them feel comfortable with the process, invite them to things and just normalize. Like, you don't have to have all the answers. Look at all of your options. These are some of the things that you can do and get some inspiration there. So I was really blessed that I continued on the path. But that's not the case for everybody. And I don't want it to be that kind of chance to leave it that high to, of a chance and people not have what they need to be successful.
Yeah, and I like that you talked that you didn't have mentorships. That's kind of I was kind of in the same boat a little bit too, till like the end of my career as well. And sometimes we do have to take the initiative to find those mentors, or like sometimes there are organizations that help you get mentors as well. But I do like that you spoke on that too, because a lot of people have gone through that too, like where they have to go through their career path or initial career path by themselves. But
Absolutely. I think it's so important. Like sometimes you're stuck in survival and it's not that you don't desire to connect with the organizations and the people, but some of us are in survival and we don't have that opportunity or that flexibility to go out and explore. But it's so important to try to connect people with organizations. And I love connecting with organizations that are, just like
yeah.
here. We are here together today, share the word and let people know that there are organizations and there are mentors and there are people that are willing to help and ready to help.
Yeah. For somebody who's like looking to be in your similar career, what advice would you give them? Like, or like you're like something that, you started a career like, man, I wish I would have known that.
Yeah. A piece of advice. I would say like if you're someone that really cares for people and you really enjoy listening to others and showing up with empathy and just with a desire to understand and for people to feel seen and supported, I think this is a great field for you. I would say piece of advice is connect with other mental health therapists, mental health professionals in the field. There's so many different areas, to specialize in and to see what they do, see what their day is like, what that looks like. And there's so many ways that you can practice. So to really just get curious about it and do your best to link with them and come alongside of them to see if you can see yourself serving in this way.
Yeah. Going into like more the therapy side. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to begin therapy but feels kind of hesitant because of the stigma and the cultural expectations?
Absolutely. So a piece of advice I would say is find someone that you can filter out when you're doing your search for a clinician. You can filter out for the things that are important to you. Like if you feel more comfortable, with whatever you can put there, the profiles have what they specialize in. And so you can do your search. Like for example, for me, whenever I go to the medical doctor, I prefer to be seen by a female doctor. And so I'll put that on there. And then I love seeing people's pictures and you can kind of get a little bit of sense of like what they look like and what they might be like. Um, so those are some things that I do and I think could be helpful. Um, but their profiles are good because they tell you a little bit about what they care about, what their passions and experiences are, and then maybe you can see some connections there, some things where you would like to learn more about, grow, or explore further, and that would be good.
Yeah, I also do that too. I always like check the profile too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was always good too, especially if you're trying to find somebody like, maybe with a similar background with you or similar age range as you. It's kind of nice to see sometimes those profiles. Like usually I think with insurance you can sometimes see them and you can also see it on if they run their own clinic, you can sometimes see those bios as well.
Yeah.
Uh it's like super helpful and I feel like not enough people kind of do that and we're like you got to do a bit of research too when you're looking for either a therapist, psychiatrist,
Yeah.
psychologist. just do the research.
Absolutely. I love doing that personally. Like to me, I love to see like I don't know, like just what are they choosing to wear? Like what do they have on? To me, I'm just interested, you know? So for me, like all my pictures have like big earrings. Like it's true to how I am and how I look. And my hope is that people feel like, oh, there's authentic people, you know? It's different type of people. There's different type of therapists, and you just kind of show up and try to see if there's a connection. And there's so many therapists that do a free 15-minute session where you can just see if you vibe, and if you do, then you connect. If not, then you can definitely check what your options are and try with someone else. And there's no love lost, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's your life. It's what you need and what's best for you. That's the most important.
Yeah, I feel like people sometimes think like, like therapy is like a one and go. No, it's like it could be you can probably like do it once, like to test it out, but like it's sometimes also it's a long process depending on what you're going through as well. So,
Absolutely right, because it can be maintenance, it can be, I mean, for healing is so many different topics and so many different things. And healing's not just fast and done, right? Healing takes
yeah.
time, and it has so many layers, but the healing process is so beautiful. It takes courage, and it's not easy, but it can be so rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. So I noticed also in your background, you held a lot of leadership positions in several major organizations. So how did those experiences shape your understanding of advocacy and like community impact?
Ooh,
Yeah,
so
long question.
I love your question. I think it's such a good question. Like I said, for my undergrad, I did sociology, and then I got my master's in social work. So for me, from early on, I had a commitment to community and just being in love with community, all things advocacy, all things representation, and just really showcasing the value and the beauty of diverse people, right? And so
Mhm.
um, all of the work that I've done immediately after undergrad have been with organizations that have been truly committed to serving underserved communities. And so I was able to see all of the things that I've mentioned today, the need for continued representation. A lot of organizations are already doing incredible work here in Houston with having professionals that reflect the communities that are being served. And I think that's incredible work. Houston is such a diverse city,
Yeah.
and, so many cultures, amazing food, amazing people. And so it's awesome to see organizations be more diverse and reflective, like I said, of the communities that they serve. And so, through those different roles in great organizations, I was able to just continue to be a person that was seated at the table to continue to be a voice for my community, our community, our needs, for those that didn't feel comfortable sharing but would provide feedback to me. And so I'd be the person that would sit at those spaces to say, hey, this is the feedback that I'm getting, because I'm going to the community members, I'm going to the community leaders, I'm asking questions from a place to not make assumptions, but to understand what they identify is valuable, is needed, is important, has been overlooked, and bringing those conversations to the table. So I'm so happy that I had the privilege to do that. But honestly, going through school and going through all the higher education really allowed me the opportunity to be able to sit at those tables. And my mission now moving forward is to continue to create opportunities for people to come to the table and for us to have a well-rounded conversation about what's missing, what's needed, but also celebrating what's really good, what's really working, what's really connecting, and really transforming.
Hola, amigas. So, quick before we keep going, I'm literally sitting right outside the Georgia Brown Convention Center where the 2025 Latina Entrepreneurship Conference is happening right here on September 20th. So, yes, mark that down. This is built by Latinas, made for all women, and it's going to be full of heart, ambition, and real talk. You can expect powerful panels that inspire, hands-on workshops that empower, and unforgettable charla sessions where you can truly connect share your journey, and grow alongside other mujeres who understand what it means to chase big dreams. So grab your comadres, get your tickets, and come to a space that's made for you. Now let's keep going with that episode.
I love that because I feel like especially with mental health, like we have to have our voices heard. Even like, be it not through us, but like sometimes you can be through people like you give your feedback to, as you said, like you're acting as a representation of what the community is needing. And I love that because it's always nice to be in a point where you're able to communicate what the community needs. Because, sometimes our voices are really hard to be heard. And so it's like great to be there and like represent. So I love to hear that you're doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's such a joy. I feel like maybe it's because I'm Latina, but I feel like it's such a great sense of responsibility, to do that. Our voices, and that's something that I'm always saying, our voices are important. They're needed. They need to be heard, and they need to be celebrated.
Yeah. So talking about that, so how can we create like more supportive networks and spaces for girls and women of color, especially those navigating education or professional life as like first gens?
Absolutely. I think the Latina Leadership Podcast is doing an incredible job because that's how I connected with, you ladies, right? Creating the spaces for education to bring community leaders that represent our community across diverse, disciplines and experiences, so that the space is there to have those conversations. I think creating continued spaces is so important, continuing to invite people to come and hear and continue to celebrate our culture and the beauty of our culture, I think is so important. And so, I think just continue partnership. I think partnership and collaboration is so important. Like we can all learn from each other. We can all I feel truly we're stronger together. And the more people that you can bring together, as long as there's a supportive conversation, like a collaborative dialogue, a respectful dialogue, and strategy, because you also need strategy. If not, it could be a mess with too much input. But with the guided conversation, we can really, accomplish amazing things together. So continued collaboration in Houston, continued opportunities to bring people that are like-minded, that want to expand their reach and bring their resources and gifts to the table, I think is so important.
I feel that's so true too. Even with our podcast too, like sometimes I hear like conversations or I get to meet people who I didn't know like that, they're experts in their fields, but we don't know about it. And then we get to hear their story and see what they've gone through, what advice they can give. It just really helps for people who are listening that, hey, like you can do it. Don't feel discouraged that you don't see somebody in your own field, that there's still other people who are doing it in your own field, but they're not as visible as you would want them to be. So it's like making sure that, our community doesn't feel alone. I feel like in letting them know like, hey, your voice matters, even it may feel like you're the only one standing, but there's a lot more people out there to support you.
I love that. I think that's so special. I love that you share that because it's a network, right? And it's a matter of connecting, so that we can continue to feel inspired, motivated, encouraged. But I love that because sometimes it does feel like that. It does feel like you're building alone or like you're the only person in the room that feels that way. I know a lot of times in my journey, I'm like, anybody? No. But now, in this season in my career, I'm like, it's so many of us, and I'm so excited, and I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of the work that we're doing here in Houston to represent our city, love our city, love our community, celebrate our people, our heritage, our contributions, especially with the political climate and all the things that are happening, like we're here.
Yeah, I feel like it's really important, especially now, for us to stand together and represent. Show like, hey, we're here and we're not going anywhere. And it's like super nice too, especially even in terms of mental health. Like I've just seen like people be more outspoken about it too. We did also like a recent live, like me and Helica and Edna, like talking about it as well. And it's nice to see people are receptive to these type of conversations. They are truly really needed.
Absolutely.
We gotta beat the stigma that we've had in our community and just like talk about it. It's okay to not be okay.
Right? We don't have to carry the weight alone. It's okay to need support. Everybody needs support, right? And
Yeah.
it just spaces that we can talk about how we feel, what we're going through, what we need, and how to show up for each other in a better way, in a more effective way. Absolutely. I'm so happy that, we're working hard to destigmatize, mental health in our Latino communities, right? But again, representation, I believe, is key to that, and creating those spaces where our culture is celebrated, right?
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. Yeah.
So, what is something the hot question? What is something you wish more people understood about mental health in the Latino community?
Wow, that's a good one. I would say that it takes time, and I feel like you have to be patient because there's so much, mistrust for very understandable reasons. I feel like as a people, we're very hardworking people. We want to give our best. And so, it requires understanding, our culture, and obviously can't speak for everybody, but I think, we're hardworking, we care about our families deeply. So everything's not just, it's not just this or that, it's complex, not easy. And it requires, having patience and being willing to listen to understand, our family dynamics are not easy, our culture, like how our generations, the things that we've overcome, just, all the different things. And so I would say, oh man, my mind keeps going back to the same thing. Like, if we feel represented, I feel that that's everything, so that we can begin to shift, shift the conversation, normalize mental health, be open to support, and continue healing in a new way, in a different way, or in collaboration with the things that we're already practicing and doing, and that we know are effective.
No, I feel that too is like having to like shift the narrative, especially like like in the works of like destigmatizing it, and then also like the patience, like these like is not you're not gonna fix everything like super quickly, but also like I guess we're so used in the Spanish community to be hardworking and to be like toda la prisa, todo a su modo. But like it is todo a su modo, like at the same time too. But like I guess we're so used to like everything, al volada, like that sometimes it's sort of yeah, like especially for like especially our parents to understand like look, I'm gonna take a little bit of time for my soul to like work these things out, and that's perfectly fine. I feel like it's, especially in our culture, it's really hard to find that work-life balance, and I feel like sometimes that kind of hurts us a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, man, that is so good. Just because you're taking time to rest, to process, to relax, it doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you don't care. You're right. It doesn't mean that you're not committed. It like we deserve those things too.
Yeah,
Right?
I feel like it's mentally more healthy for us to do that.
Right? When we're pouring not from an empty cup, but we feel good in our mind, our spirit, our body. Like it's all connected.
Yeah.
Right. And it shows up, right? Like I can ignore something for a long time and just go and go and go, but we're not an energizer bunny.
Yeah.
Rest is sacred. Rest
Yeah.
is important, rest, listening to what we need, or what we're needing, what our body's telling us we need, and physically, mentally, emotionally, those things are important too. I love
Yes.
that you spoke that.
Yeah. So, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
Ah, just in mental health, or just generally the whole journey to here. Oh my goodness, that's good. I just feel so blessed because it's not a job. It's just, I feel like it's just a purpose. It's a calling, you know. I feel so privileged to be able to serve all people, but be able to specialize in, you know, Latino culture and, you know, people of color things, because, you know, I am in an interracial marriage, you know, so we're a blended family also. So just all of the different things, like just coming together and just be a place to be able to see, you know, our communities and embrace our communities, I think is so awesome. I'm just so grateful that I can show up to listen and support, encourage, and just be like another person on that person's team that believes that they can do amazing things, and that, you know, just that I can give back to my community. And it takes me back to like the beginning of like my life, you know, coming from a hood in Houston and having such a desire to for people to see the value and the beauty that comes, um, even from people that come in communities that come from hard places. Like I think that's the beauty of it, the resilience, the just the beauty of our culture, and um how amazing we are as a people, as a community, and every, you know, all the ways that we contribute, you know, and that we can, like, we're here. So just to be able to serve, I think that's just the most rewarding thing.
No, that's great to hear. I love that. I'm gonna ask you one of our final questions. This is one Angelica always likes to ask.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a leader? Why or why not?
Oh, I love that question. So powerful and beautiful and empowering. So yes, I would definitely consider myself a leader. I feel like I've always seen myself as a leader because I've always wanted to see the best in people. I've always wanted to be like, I've always been an encourager. So it's perfect, just, you know, in the field that I'm in, and being able, you know, for private and couple sessions, to be able to encourage people and you know, just all these things. Um I definitely consider myself a leader. I've always fought for what I believe is true, is helpful, is right. I'm big on social justice, you know, racial justice, you know, just community, family, all of these things. And so, yeah, I've been using my voice my whole life. And yeah, I think that's a leader, somebody that believes in the cause, believes in the people, truly sees and loves the people. And that's my mission, is to continue to be a voice, to continue to create spaces, to continue the conversation and change the narrative. I love that you said change the narrative.
Yeah.
Break stereotypes, break ceilings, and let people know, like, man, we're here and we're doing incredible things because we're incredible people.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I love that. So, where can our listeners and viewers find you?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that one. So I'm on social media, on Instagram as Isabella Bacy, and on Facebook, same Isabella Bacy, and yeah, just spell like that, Bacy. So where you can find me. Yeah, and I'm also gonna be at the Latina Leadership Podcast Conference.
The Latino Entrepreneurship Conference. Yeah, the one on September 20th. You guys don't want to miss it. Don't want to miss it. Any last words? Any last words for our viewers?
Just wherever you are in your journey, you know, you can do incredible things, and there are people that want to see you succeed, that want to see you surprise yourself with the things that you can accomplish, the places that you can go, the lives that you can positively impact. And, some of us have gone through some very hard things, and sometimes we feel hopeless and sad, and like that's going to be the rest of our life and our story. But I just want to encourage you that it's just a chapter, and we all need support. And when we come together, we can really discover beautiful things. And, healing is lifelong. So, hey, be encouraged. Keep pushing, keep showing up for yourself, and being in community is important.
Yeah, I love that. It was great talking to you, Isabella. I hope our listeners and viewers enjoy the conversation.
Thank you so much. It was so good talking to you too. You are awesome.
Thank you for joining us in this amazing conversation today. If you need more information or resources, as always, they'll be in the description below. Please don't forget to follow us everywhere at Latina Leadership Podcast to stay updated with our latest releases, events, and more. We'll see you next time.